Hello, I'm Aric, and I'm sitting here with Alexis Gerst, one of the Ogden Marathon Ambassadors. So let's just start. How did you get into running?
So I actually got into running because I am an active duty Air Force member.
Oh, right
and
on.
it's part of my job description, literally, to be able to run a mile and a half in a certain amount of time to be able to pass my fitness assessment. So a couple of years ago, my running time was getting slower and slower each year, and I was like, this isn't a good trend. If I want to stay in the Air Force, I gotta get better at running. And I really hated running at that point because every time I tried to do it, I just tried to go as fast as I could all the time to try to meet that time. And so then I decided, you know what? Everybody says to get better at running, you have to run more. So if I'm going to run more, I have to be able to enjoy it. So that was really when I started to allowing myself to slow down and enjoy the process of running, and I just fell in love with it after that. I built myself up to do a 5K and then a 10K, and then as soon as I finished my first 10K, I was like, you know what? But I could do a half marathon. And that was really when the love of running, I kind of fell in love with it, and trained for my first half marathon in 2018. I haven't looked back since.
That's amazing, because so much we hear of runners and running. I can't tell you how many stories I hear. I hated running. Right? It starts with that. How'd you get? Well, I hated it, but yeah. And then it usually ends with I love it. Like if I can't run for X amount of days, I go crazy. So
right.
It's an interesting thing. So what when you say you fell in love with it, what is it about running that makes you feel that way? From going from I don't like this to I love this. What does it give you to get you there?
So many different things. So the first one, obviously, just being in better shape all the time. I think running something like a 5K or a 10K or a half marathon, or just having that level of fitness, helps us be able to approach life better. Because if I can do a hard thing of running 6 miles, 10 miles, 13.1, it makes everything in life just a little bit easier to handle. If I can do that hard thing, then I can do this hard thing. I can do this meeting or go in and do this presentation, and it's going to be that much easier. So that is really an awesome part about running and what it does for your confidence level. But really, I like the process of training because it gives me just that time to be out by myself. I love listening to podcasts or audiobooks and kind of just getting into the zone and being able to forget about everything else in life and just kind of relax into the run.
So when you talk about that, how do you balance running to your normal life, being Air Force and everything else? How do you balance that? Are you a morning runner? Are you an evening runner? Do you run when you just have a window? I mean, how do you do that?
So I actually am kind of a seasonal runner. So in the summertime, when it's way too hot in the afternoon, I tend to run in the morning and get up a little bit earlier to do that. And then in the fall, winter, and spring, when it's a little bit cooler out, I tend to run after work. Usually mid-afternoon, early evening is kind of like the warmest part of the day. I'm a little bit of a wimp when it comes to the cold, so yeah. I definitely like to run in the warmest part of the day.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm the opposite. I'm like, I can't do heat. Right, so I'll embrace cold maybe a little more, but if it's hot, that's a struggle, and we can get pretty hot here. So, how long have you been an Ogden Marathon Ambassador?
So I think my first Ogden Marathon was actually the half marathon in 2019.
Okay.
And I believe I joined the ambassador program that fall after that. So I ran my first half, loved the community atmosphere here, and decided to say, hey, I could probably be an ambassador and talk to a few people about this.
So you ran your first half, Ogden half, in 2019. How is the Ogden half different than maybe other halves out there? Like what is it about the Ogden Marathon races that brings you back?
I think the scenery is probably one of the biggest things. The community and the atmosphere around it is super friendly, and everybody really treats it as a community event and a family event versus just like a big race. And then a lot of half marathons are through a city or different areas that maybe aren't quite as beautiful as Ogden Canyon. So that part was really just the whole run. I got to take in the views of the canyon and the waterfall and the river and everything all around me, and that was a pretty awesome experience.
It's a great route, right? I mean, it's hard to beat when you're going down the canyon. What was the weather like for you in 2019? Do you remember?
It was pretty rainy. Yeah, that was the first race that I had ever run in the rain.
Oh, wow.
And I actually had to go out and buy a hat the day before because I was looking up like, oh my gosh, it's going to be super rainy. And everybody's like, if you get a hat with a visor, it keeps the rain out of your eyes. And that really made a huge difference.
Wow.
So I'm glad I bought a hat the day before.
Yeah, that's some good advice.
I used to hate running in the rain too because I get like water in my eyes. And now I have no problem running in the rain. As long as I have a visor to keep the rain out of my eyes, I'm good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I talk to people and, they mention the weather a lot, but it seems to always add a story, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, you can look at it two ways. You can look at the weather as, oh my gosh, it's this, that, but usually you come out of it going, oh my heck, this one section, I saw this one thing. It's just, it adds to me just another layer, right, of a good story that you can tell. It gets better as the time goes on. But
it was. And actually the rain didn't bother me as much, so I had to run another half the weekend prior.
Oh,
in
wow.
2019, I had run the Hill Air Force Base half marathon.
Okay.
And I was a little bit too confident maybe going out of the start of that one, and I started way faster than I should have. And by like mile 5, my knee started hurting really bad. Might have been like a combination of shoes that were too old, too worn out, and trying to start too fast. But so I was a little bit scared when I started Ogden that I was going to run into the same knee pain, and so I started a lot slower than I thought I needed to, and I actually ended up finishing really strong and just passing people left and right.
That's awesome.
So that was probably one of the more fun races I've run for that aspect as well, as because it feels awesome to be able to pass people at the end.
That's awesome. What does it feel like for people that maybe haven't done it? What does it feel like when you're coming down Grant and you can see the finish line? You're almost done, but you got that excitement in the people. What does that feel like as a runner?
I mean, it was pretty awesome, pretty empowering. It's always fun to see that finish line come into view. Sometimes finish lines are a little bit farther away than others, so it depends on, if you can see it and you're like, I'm almost there, and you want to start sprinting, but you got to kind of rein it in a little bit and can't quite go all out, otherwise you won't make it. But yeah, it was really cool to just see that view in the city and the street and everything, and see the finish line come into view. And a lot of people had flags, which me being a member of the military, that was kind of grabbed the heartstrings a little bit as well.
Trying to keep your composure as you cross, right? It's
right.
like, okay, I can do this.
For sure.
Now, being military, I also heard that you've done the MAGCOM Challenge, right?
Yes.
Give me, what is that?
So it's an event at the Air Force Marathon. So the Air Force does a full half 10K and 5K every September.
Okay.
And the MAGCOM Challenge is something they do for active duty members. So each MAGCOM, or Major Command, if you haven't heard the term before, is like there's Air Force Materiel Command and Air Force Global Strike Command and Air Force Combat Command, all these different commands. And they can nominate up to 10 runners. So it's a mix of male and female runners for both the half marathon and the full marathon. And you have to go through an application process in like April through June. And then they select you based on your previous run times. So they want like the fastest runners possible, but they also want to fill up their team, because if you don't fill up your team, then they give you what's called a ghost runner, and it's the slowest possible time somebody could have run that in that day. So it's really a handicap to have a ghost runner. So if you're not going to fill up your team, you definitely want to give somebody. I think that may be why I got in. I'm a very solid middle of the pack runner.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing too fast there, yeah. But so I applied. I said, hey, why not? I'm just going to put my name in. Worst case scenario, I get selected, but maybe I do get picked up. And it was a really cool experience when I got to do that, because they treat you like a VIP runner as an active duty member on MAGCOM Challenge. They pay for your lodging and your meals, and you get to go to the dinner the night before and sit with, like, right next to the general at the front tables.
Oh, man.
And you get to be all part of the dinner the night before, and they bus you in and you get like your own VIP tent at the race. It was really cool. I got to feel what it feels like to be an elite runner at a race. I was like, there was like security in front of the tent, and we had our own like massage therapist afterwards, and I actually went in right after the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, and they had, right before, and they were like, okay, can we cut it a little short, General Rand?
Oh man, come on.
Yeah. I was like, oh, by all means, my massage time for him. So that was really cool, because we got exposure to a lot of the senior leaders in the Air Force.
That's amazing. That's a great experience to take away from. And again, that's something that running helped you achieve, right?
Right.
Or bring you, right? The little thing maybe that wasn't on the list when you started.
Absolutely. Yeah, if I hadn't run, and I think I put the Ogden Marathon time on my application too. If I hadn't run that, I might not have ever gotten a chance to do that other race.
That's amazing. That's really cool. Is the half marathon, is that your favorite distance, would you say?
It is. So I'm new to the full marathon. I did my first one virtually last fall.
Yeah.
And that was a challenge, definitely an exercise in mental toughness. The marathon's such a beast in a long distance, and it takes a lot of time out of my schedule. So being an active duty Air Force member, sometimes I don't have as much time to train. So the half marathon's a really good medium distance where it's still like long enough where you don't necessarily have to like punish yourself by sprinting, and you get to enjoy the race a little bit more, but it's also very doable, and if you just stay in kind of a reasonable condition, then you can jump into it and train for it. So
awesome.
That's why I love it.
It's a great distance. So, well, I also heard that you've written a book.
Yes.
So you're not very busy. I mean, being active duty, running. So you wrote a book. Tell us about your book.
Yeah, so the book really stems from my experience as an Air Force team leader, and it's a personal passion project, so not part of my professional job, but it stems from that experience. So as we transition to a lot of the remote work and the remote teamwork in the pandemic, a lot of team leaders really struggled with that transition and how to stay productive and stay connected and engaged with their team. So I kind of turned that into a training and started teaching people, like, how do we connect, how do we stay productive, how do we make sure we prioritize the tasks that are important rather than just getting caught in something like email. So I did that training, got a lot of feedback, a lot of positive excitement about it, and then I decided I needed to turn it into a book. So it actually just launched this week, April 13th.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
So it's brand
That's awesome.
new. Yeah, thank you. So we're actually going to have a virtual booth in the expo. So
cool.
If runners are interested in learning how to lead virtual teams better, they can check that out.
So that's really for anybody, though, right? I mean, it's not for military. It's not.
Right.
It's just a leadership book in something new for us, right? The virtual realm and remote Zooms and all that stuff. Is that kind of what it's for?
Yes. So it is written like from my point of view, and I have a little bit of military elements in there, but it's really meant for anybody who leads a team of people and is connecting primarily remotely or cross digital medium.
Okay, so one more time, what's the name of the book and where can they find it?
So the title of the book is Leading Remote Teams, Embrace the Future of Remote Work Culture. So if they search Leading Remote Teams on Amazon, it'll be one of the first ones to come up. It is exclusively through Amazon. There is an ebook and a paperback, and in about a month or so, hopefully the audiobook will be released as well.
Right on.
So we've got to wait for the approval process, so that takes a little while. But and then I'm the author, Alexis Gerst. So
No pen name?
No pen name. No, straight up, it's me.
That's always better. It's easier to remember.
Right.
And like she said, it'll be available at one of the booths for the virtual booths for the Ogden Marathon. So awesome. Thank you for taking the time. And I also heard that in 2020, even though there was not a race, you had like the most people signed up through the ambassador program. Like a lot of people. You got help register for the race. So
Yeah, there was an overwhelming response. So I actually wrote a running blog for a while, and I don't have that up anymore. So I had a lot of different promotion going out through that, and then also my Instagram page is really where I talk the most about running on social media. So I think the combination of those probably got a lot of people's attention.
wow. Well, it sounds like you're always busy.
Definitely.
I mean, just going by with all the stuff you've done. But thanks so much for taking the time. Congratulations again on the book. That is incredible. And it was great to hear the experience about the MagicCom Challenge. And again, it's just one of those things that running just isn't about running, right? I mean, it can lead to so many things like an opportunity like that. Or as you mentioned, I did something hard, so maybe this isn't as hard. So it's always great to hear the stories of running and what it means to different people and what they get out of it. So it's never too late to run, in a proper way. So thanks again for taking the time. Good luck with the book. Good luck with all your service as well as training for more races. So,
Thank
and
you.
your next marathon. right?
Yes, I'm going to probably be doing another one later this year and maybe an ultra this fall.
Oh, I love
See
it.
it.
Nice. An ultra, you got to do that. You're going next level again.
Yeah,
You're not going to stop.
Last summer I started running out on the trails more often, and I just love getting out into nature. It's so peaceful.
It's different, right?
It's very different.
Nice. Well, that's great to hear. Well, thanks again for taking the time to talk to everybody, and good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Perfect.